Hello, America, and to our friends around the world, greetings. Remember, March is Women's Month. So let's take a look at our first woman of this episode, Saritha Ramaraju, 48, of Orange County, Santa Ana, or at least of Orange County. This is written from Santa Ana, California. She's been charged with murder for using a sharp-edged item against an 11-year-old boy's throat. This is the result of women throwing temper tantrums and not getting what they want. If they can't have it, no one will. I'm profiling these for this month because at some point in history, somebody decided March should be designated Women's Month, as if the majority of the population deserves celebratory cause rather than individual merit. Anybody who's studied sociology, the sociological aspects of the cultural dynamics and relationship dynamics knows for a fact that fathers are pushed out of the home. And this has been an escalating development since the 70s. I speculate this is tied into Lyndon Johnson's Great Society from the 60s, which saw the devastation of the black families pushing the men out and turning women towards their God, towards their new husband, as it were, the state, to fund whatever. And then you had that POS, cuckold, loser, spineless, ballless Mike Johnson telling Kate Mann Collins on CNN last month, February, that Medicaid was specifically made for single mothers. So you have an entire government program admitted by a government official, an elected government official, that a entire financial burden has been created to reward the bad decisions, the bad life actions of women. And if that's not bad enough, he has declared war on men who have made enough money to subsist, because there's this concept of, oh, 29-year-old men who play video games need to go work more. Uh, Number one, those 29-year-old men, what's restricting you from declaring war on all men rather than targeting a specific age bracket? Number two, if they're playing these video games, they're paying for their internet service. They paid for their game system. They've paid for the video game. I don't know, and whatever else that goes into such a thing. I don't know if they have memberships. I don't know if they have other cost obligations, like specific game controllers or what goes into it. I'm not a video game guy. I've said so in the past. But to target a specific niche of a society and announce to the world that they are nothing more than pay pigs for these women who can't keep their legs closed, that these women who are going out causing violence, these women who are going out knowing full well that their actions are going to be rewarded by the government for being, for doing nothing is absurd. This is not a hate on women. This is a hate on morons and idiots such as Mike Johnson, who are too incompetent to do their job, who are too willing to simp and white knight for the majority vote of women to keep that lavish lifestyle coming in. I mean, what other profession do you get paid for doing nothing $200,000 a year? What other profession do you get paid to appear on television to spout nonsense and volatile rhetoric? What other profession do you get paid $200,000 a year that amplifies your personality, that you get rewarded for doing nothing, that you then take those 2 years minimum and receive a lavish retirement and large payouts via lobbyist firms? Yeah. Take a moment to consider that this $200,000, yeah, I get it. 175,000 is what it is. Yeah. All right. These people aren't even in Congress. They have to be forced to appear in Congress. That's what Marjorie Taylor Greene was demanding, is that these people are these, 400 and 43 uh, no, 435 members of Congress uh, can't even be there. It's usually only, three or four on the dais and one or two in the gallery making their speech with their aides, and that's it. And they are introducing legislation such as this that rewards women such as Saritha Ramaraju to end her son because she's angry that his dad took him to Disneyland. She's been charged with one felony count of murder, one felony enhancement of personal use of a weapon. She faces a maximum sentence of 26. Take a moment to consider this too. What is the lifetime sentence for a man who has done this to another man? Or more specifically, a man who has done this to a child? Is it a max sentence of 26 years? Granted, this is California, and I'm not a big fan of the death penalty because of the Innocence Project going in and using the DNA of past crimes to find out that a lot of these individuals have been wrongfully charged and sentenced, and in some cases convicted, meaning ended, executed. Uh, in fact, that Dussel brain, Killamal Harris, couldn't even, was called out for keeping a man on death row that had been wrongfully found innocent. So these are designed to be a collection of informative examples to show that it's not a one-off, that women are violent by nature. Oh no, that's just no. Yeah, that's less than 1% of no, it's not. I have profiled enough in this month of American women to demonstrate that it is definitely more than 1% and it is not a one-off. Women's inherent nature is violence. All right, so going into the story, it wasn't the father who took the son to Disneyland. The woman lives out of state. She came back to California. She rented or checked into a hotel room, bought 3-day passes. So this was his final action before execution. She planned this. This was premeditated. This warrants the ending penalty. because not only did she do this, the day that she was scheduled to check out, she did the deed and waited hours. The responders determined that there had been enough time that, all right, it's been over a decade since I've had my death investigation training from being a private investigator, but there's certain things that a body goes through, such as the collection of body fluids into they collect to the pull of gravity because it's your muscle system and that's keeping them moving to keep the fluids pumping through your system, and that's how they determine time of death. Partially is by looking at the state of rigidity, rigor mortis, and that happens after a certain amount of time and then it goes away. Uh, Also, in addition to that, is the collection of body fluids and where they're at as a mass in the body after the deed had been done, and then they calculate based off of body weight and and body temperature and so forth when the death happens. But she waited hours to report it after she had done it. Anyway, so the life of the child should not hang in the balance between two parents. I love the way that they play the gender game. This is nonsense. No, the life of the child should not hang in the balance of an unhinged, mentally unwell, violent woman whose anger for each other outweighs their love for the child. There, I fixed it for you, Mr. District Attorney Todd Spitzer. The life of a child should not hang in the balance between that utter anger, violence, hatred of a woman. There's a reason those ancient fairy tales warned of evil mothers. There's a reason they have Jezebel stories in the Bible. There's a reason there's that saying, you know, uh, hell hath no fury as a woman scorned. These weren't just ha 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 moments. These were instructions to society to beware the violent woman and her unhinged, mentally unwell retribution, that she would go to no lengths, nothing would stop her from seeking her bloodlust. You need to let those things sink in. There were many examples throughout history that society has attempted to warn the dangers of women and their nature, their inherent nature to commit atrocities. Even the leaders, more wars have been started under women than have been men. Now, this is getting a little long. I had originally intended to profile a second case, but this case out of Santa Ana is very disturbing. The third profile, this being the first, I have out of Auckland, New Zealand, and it is disgusting, isn't even the most appropriate word for it. Again, use these videos because these are being sampled with recent headlines from 2025. You know, I'm tempted to go back and get the case of the woman who smoked weed and killed her boyfriend by puncturing him 100 times, isn't sentenced. But that was from January of 2024. So, I'm going to keep this one here at just under 15, but use these as a record to do, to catalog yourself and present to your state and representatives and say, look, women's violence is out of control. You're not arresting them. You're not even charging them. And whatever charge they get off early. They get off with probation and counseling. That's nonsense. They need to face lifetime, if not a permanent ending sentence. And I say that as somebody who is very reluctant to do so, but this violence is out of control. They're ending children and nobody is doing anything about it.